Economic instability. Free will is an intriguing concept because everybody has it, but nobody uses it. Instead, a lot of us are just running the same rat race, living the same lives, not spontaneously giving in to our intrusive thoughts and quitting our dead-end job that we only got in the first place to afford PlayStation Plus, some Zar and Spotify Premium, and now trying to use those same wages to afford somebody's ungrateful daughter's wigs and nails, my own groceries and rent. And some of these wigs be costing $150, but not all of them though. Some of these girls look like they shaved their hair straight from Rapunzel's head, and some others look like they ripped their hair straight off a horse's ass. A lot of us are just cogs in a machine. Sometimes life feels like it was pre-planned this way. Like I'm on the Truman Show and somebody else is pulling all of my own strings. Maybe I suffer from chronic delusion and the main character syndrome if I'm comparing being a cog in a machine to the Truman Show. Because it's more like being a single grain of sand on the beach. Like, yeah, I live my own life through my own eyes and I feel like I matter, but everybody else is going through the same thing. So does everybody matter or does nobody? Gen Z's right to exercise free will is definitely limited. At no point in recent history has there ever been this many young to 30-year-old adults living at home with their parents. And believe me, Gen Z wants their freedom to be outside, to be YNs, Bonnie Blues, dream chasers and all of that modern stuff. But if you're adding a mortgage or rent into your life, then you have to subtract at least one of these. Because housing prices aren't young people friendly. I was looking at the pricing of one-bedroom apartments in London, and one person paying for that by themselves without starting a serious career beforehand is just ridiculous. You might as well have the bro move in with you and cuddle up in that one double bed like Diddy when the clock strikes 12.
Pause.
Cause I ain't got it on my own, and that's all before talking about inflation. Gen Z is genuinely getting paid less. In just 3 months, inflation outpaced the wage increases by 3.4%, and from 2022 to 2024, they increased wages 5%, but inflation was already reaching the 12 mark, so workers are taking home a net less amount of money. Meaning Gen Z has the lowest ability to buy or purchasing power since the 2008 market crash, forcing us to penny pinch like Chris's dad if we ever want to buy any luxuries or anything nice for anybody else. So we have less ability to outright do what we want due to the financial burden, and that's why so many of us nowadays have multiple streams of income. Because I'll give it to Gen Z, we do have a bunch of hustlers. Get your money up, not your funny up. If it weren't for these meddling taxes, I'd be popping babies like Thanos popping pills. I'd be dropping babies like Diddy's been dropping soaps. Perfect. But the UK at the moment has a declining birth rate, and they're running incentives for people to have more children. Only the super rich are having more kids, and I'm sure you've seen Japan offering visas and citizenships to foreigners to go there and populate the land because their own people can't do it since the work culture demands them to be at work or around work all hours of the day with only a couple of hours to themselves for some free time to chill, socialize, game or make babies. And despite having to work so much, Japan's employment culture finds it very hard for you to elevate in your career since all the old people have to work as well, and they're holding on to senior positions that nobody can rise to because the old people are just never gonna retire. And since they all live in the cities now, coupled with low job prospects, rent is too difficult for young people to pay, maintain, and also have children with on top of that. This is a global problem. Even the most streamed TV show in the world right now is revolved around people risking their lives to get to their bag to pay off their debts. American kids would be all over a real life Squid Game if it meant making a dent in their student loans. Hell, I would be too. Put me in red light, green light, and I'm pushing and shoving like I'm trying to get some air at a Travis Scott concert. Put me in hide and seek and let me be the seeker? Everybody's dying.
Tyler, I am the danger.
You can be a 5'9" Korean man with a deceased wife and a disabled daughter and get folded. Oh, you part of the LGBT? These hands are all inclusive. And I would have thrown that baby and caught it on the volley like I'm Robin Van Persie in his absolute prime. I live for this ignorant shit. Social media and climate anxiety. I believe in letting people follow their dreams, discovering their nindo and taking their own path. But if nobody wants to work a 9 to 5 and they all want to do whatever this is on TikTok all day.
Entering Glizzy Overdrive. Increasing grip by 7%. We are locked in. The Thank you for over 160 glizzies entering Glizzy Overdrive.
Then who's gonna be the bin men and the plumbers and the doctors? I'd say nurses, but they're already cooked. They're either on Love Island or juggling men like a pretty Latina woman on the beach in Brazil. I remember being a kid and I was in love with Michael Jackson.
That would have been the time to meet him.
And adults would ask me that dumb question of what's my dream job. My dream job is waking up at 6 p.m, eating pizza for breakfast and watching anime until I fall back asleep. Why would I dream about going to work? But I would answer with either to be a singer like Michael Jackson or to be a full-time ice cream man so I can just eat ice cream all day. And now social media has given us the chance to just do whatever we want and get paid for it. Getting paid to talk into a microphone and chat absolute shit that nobody asked for, cares about, or even wants to hear, and making a bag for it? Sign me up. That is exactly what I'm doing right now, but I post once a week. I ain't full-time. There's quite literally an unlimited amount of different, versatile, unique, original, personal content that can be made and paid for online, which does lead to my disappointment in the lack of originality in so many creators. But 20 years ago, this wasn't even an option. Couple this with new societal norms like homosexuality and mental health awareness, and you realize that Gen Z has been given the freedom to feel. Growing up, to be honest, I thought gay people were a myth. You could make gay jokes, but you couldn't actually be gay, cause that's gay, but that's how people really feel, and now there's safe spaces and places for them to mingle and interact in. The concept of depression and anxiety were completely foreign too. Young people now see it as a norm, but old heads still can't wrap their heads around it. And of course they were there back then, they existed, but back then if you were sad, simply man up and tough it out, and this wasn't 100 years ago. I've heard these phrases myself, and it was just normal. So you could argue that Gen Z's free will comes from their ability to just be themselves. In fact, I'm pretty sure in many spaces now they say it's cringe to not be yourself. It's mad how times change. Even little things like liking anime, alternative, or any media that doesn't quite stereotypically match your demographic are now generally accepted, and it's cool. Also with social media, you can get your news directly from the source, not from a government mediated station that tells you how to feel, but from the victims or suspects. And you can open the comment section, but ultimately it's down to you what you think about this. You have the freedom to decide, and adults to this day don't get that. Like the TV news will tell you that anything you get from social media is false and that it's full of misinformation, which it is, but it can also give you a truth more authentic than you could have ever gotten. There's many reasons why I'd argue that we are absolutely caged as people, but our mind has never been so free, I'm certain. Before our time, if you made a mistake or had an embarrassing moment, all you had to worry about was at most what some friendship groups in your town thought of you. But fumble a baddie today and you'll see your picture on the shade room with fully grown bums in the comment section calling you broke and scruffy. Your L is multiplied times 10 because we are hyper exposed to constant information and constant opinions. And just like the toxic CIA ass music that we're forced to listen to, this information and opinions can also subconsciously cloud our own judgment and thought processing. So it's a double-edged sword, I suppose. But that's about all I've got for does Gen Z have free will? I don't think we can ever really express our free will truly. Comment down below some weird limitations of our free will that you think are absolute BS. I'll go first. Crossing the border, just like walking to another country. Why can't I just do that? But technology keeps on advancing, and I feel like it was giving us a lot of free will, but with AI coming in now, they're gonna control us again, guys. And if you get the Elon Musk chip put in your head, yeah, you're basically an android at that point. But that's all I got for this week's video. Make sure you like, subscribe, send this to your friends, send it to everybody that is in Gen Z, and guys, I will see you next week. For now, it's peace and love.